Hello everyone and good evening. Right now it's an evening, just rainy evening today in the Philippines. But okay, so braining won't stop math. Today we're going to talk about turning quadratic equations to its vertex form using the values of h and k. Okay, so why this formula is another way of turning this equation into its vertex form, which we all know from the previous lesson is y equals ax minus h squared plus k. So we are going to turn this into something like this. So let's start with our first example. To do this using this formula, we have two formulas. Our formula is for h, our formula is negative b over 2a. For k is 4ac minus b squared over 4a. So we are just going to get the values of a, b, and c here and substitute it in the formula we have here above. So let's do that. What are the values of a, b, and c in here? So the values of a, b, and c in here is a is the coefficient in x, which is nothing, so it means it's 1. B is the coefficient of 4, coefficient of x, which is 4. And c is our number without a coefficient, and it's 2. So we already have the values of a, b, and c in here. Now, we substitute it to the equation right here and below. So we first solve for h. H is equal to b, negative b, which is 4. So it's negative 4. If it's like this, if it's a positive 4, you don't really need to write the parentheses. But it's better if you do write so you don't get confused. And then 2a, 2, then a, 1. Then simplify this expression. It becomes negative. Inside the parentheses, you distribute it, it becomes a negative 4. 2 times 1, we get 2. Now after that, you simplify this fraction. If this is divisible by itself, then you divide it. Negative 4 divided by 2, it becomes negative 2, because negative divided to a positive is a negative. Please note that it is possible that this becomes a fraction. If you cannot divide this by itself, and it's already at its simplest form, you can have the value of h as a fraction. It can happen. Okay, so now this is your value of h, which is negative 2. Now, solving for the value of k. The formula for k is 4ac minus b squared over 4a. So it's 4ac, 4, value of a, 1, value of c, 2, minus, this is a constant, minus b squared. So b here is 4. Then we square that b. Then all over 4a, which is 4, value of a is 1. So after that, we simplify the terms. We first simplify the parentheses. It is 4 times 4 times 1 is 4 times 2 is 8. So we got 8. Negative 4 squared is 16. So, right, like that. So, oh wait, I'm going to do this first. Then 4 times 1 is 4. So, Zian, is it possible that this becomes a plus? Yes. Say for example, our 4 squared, our 4 inside the parentheses is a negative. Say for example, no, you can't actually make this a negative. So for example, you have a negative 4 in there. Then you square. Negative 4 squared is still 16. So no matter what happens, it will always be a minus sign. No matter what happens, it will always become a minus sign, because a square of a number will always be a positive. Then you distribute the minus, it still becomes a negative. So that's take note. You have to take note of that. So 8 minus 16. After that, you simplify this fraction. 8 minus 16 is negative 8. over 4. Then again, you simplify the fraction. This is divisible by each other. 8 and 4 divisible by each other. So 8 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. 4 divided by 4 is 0. So is 1. So this is already your value of k. So both of your values of h and k is negative 2. So I'm gonna write it here. H is equal to negative 2. Oops. Negative 2. K is equal to negative 2 as well. So now, how do you turn this into a vertex form? We just substitute the values of h and k here in the equation right here. So to do that, we just write a. So what is the value of a? 1. So if your value of a is 1, you don't really need to write it. So it's y equals, supposed to be a, diba? But because a is already 1, you don't really need to write it. X minus value of h. Oops. So value of h, so it becomes negative 2 squared plus the value of our k, which is negative 2. And there we go. Oh wait, oops, I wrote k. There. Then you have that. Now, after that, we still have the parentheses. We make sure that only one parenthesis is remaining, which is this thing. So we simplify it. We simplify this. We distribute this. Negative times a negative will become a positive, so it becomes an x plus 2. If you're asking why it became like that, let's put an equal sign. If you're asking why it became like that, these are both negative, and we know that if we multiply negatives and negative, we flip their signs, so it becomes a positive. I mean, if it's both the same, if it's both the same sign, we just make them a positive. Because yeah, that's what it is really. So squared, then positive times a negative is a negative, so this becomes a minus 2. So your final answer will be y is equal to x plus 2 squared minus 2. And your values of h and k is negative 2 and negative 2. Now, for the next example, okay, so we have our next example, which is y is equal to negative x squared minus 5x plus 9. So what's the first thing we're going to do is, again, find the values of a, b, and c. B and c. We get negative, the value of a here is negative 1. Negative 1 because there's no number beside x, but there's a negative, so it becomes a negative 1. The value of b is negative 5. The value of c is 9. Then we substitute again. So we first solve for h. H is equal to negative b. Negative, we put the value of b there. Then 2a, so 2. Then value of a. So then we simplify. We first do this. So we see a negative and a negative. What do? It becomes a positive. So 5. Then negative 1 times 2. A negative to a positive is 2 times 1 is 2. A negative to a positive will become a negative. So negative 2. So this you cannot simplify. So this is your value of h. Now, for your k, we just do 4ac minus b squared over 4a. So it's 4ac. 4 value of a, which is negative 1. Value of 9. Value of c, which is 9. Minus b squared, which is the value of b right here. Then squared. All over, wait, let's make this a straight. All over 4a. 4 value of a. There. So simplify the parentheses. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Times 9 is 36. So it's negative 36. Because negative 4 times negative 9, negative 4 times 9 is negative 36. Minus the square of negative 5, which is 25. Right here. Over 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. So now you look at this. These are both negative signs. So this is a negative 36 and this is a negative 25. So you add them together, you get negative 61. Yes, negative 61 over negative 4. And that's what it is. That's it. And that's it. That's your value of k, which is negative 61 over 4. And that's, you're going to do again what you did here. So you just substitute the values of h and k to your equation right here. So we get y is equal to a. Our value of a is a negative, so we write a negative x minus the value of h, which is 5 over negative 2. 5 over negative 2 squared plus the value of k, which is negative 61, and negative 61 and negative 4. Then just distribute the negatives or the signs. We have here a negative and a negative. It becomes a positive, so it becomes a negative. Wait, no, actually, after you do that, if the first parenthesis is a negative, you again distribute the sign, so it still becomes a negative. So it still becomes an x minus 5 squared over 2. Then distribute the positive and the negative, it becomes a negative minus 61 over 4. And that's what it is. That's your final answer right here. This is the vertex form of this thing. This is the vertex form. And your values of h and k is negative 5 over negative 2 and negative 61 over negative 64 for your k. That's it.